didn't know I had that big of a... We're on. Okay.
All right. All right, I am calling us to order. And I think we are ready to begin roll call.
Baker. Chambelli. Here. Hobby. Here. Lennox. Here. Loftus. Here. Lozano. Savoy. Villarolo.
Here.
Ziegler.
Here.
Gita.
All right. And then I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Moved by Baker. Seconded by Kim. All in favor, I'm sorry, Kimberly. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, and I will take a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting. Moved by Baker. Seconded by Jeff. All in favor? All right, motion carries.
Through the chair, we have special guest mayor here tonight. Would you like to say a few words before we get started?
Uh-oh.
Nothing bad, I promise. I just want to say that I've been noticing and I've been watching the meetings of how hard you all have been working, spending your time here every Thursday night since September, doing service for the city. And I just want you all to know how much I appreciate you and how much I thank you. I believe my council colleague here said we're just, it's the beginning of the end. The end for you all, but the beginning for us. So I just want to thank you for your dedication and how much I appreciate you. And I hope that some of you or all of you will stay on for other committees. We need you on those committees, hint, hint. But I just wanted to take the time to come out and say thank you for that. And we're in this together, so thank you. Thank you, everyone. I wanted to shake everyone's hand. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going, you have work to do, and I'm going to.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
that?
appreciate the opportunity.
I didn't see that.
All right. Well, Alvita, so glad you were able to join us. Kyle will not be able to join us tonight. He had a family emergency. Hopefully Simrit will make it yet tonight as well. And the great news is the important work that we have to do tonight is finalize the report. So we will spend our time primarily on any topics of disagreement. So if there are things in the report that either don't accurately reflect your understanding of where we landed with the group, or there's language you would like to suggest be changed at a high level, those are the things we want to talk about. So that will be the first half of the meeting, making sure everybody's comfortable with the contents of the report as it's been drafted. You have two versions in front of you just to kind of orient you to those. So the narrative version, that is the totality of the narrative content. The other, more beautiful version is a sample of what it will look like when it's complete. And so we wanted to give you an idea of what that is looking like, but it is not, all the narrative is not reflected in that prettier version. I think that's the technical term, right, Kimmy? Prettier version. And so I also just want to recognize the folks that have done the heavy lifting, Quinn and Kimberly and Brooke. Thank you so much for pulling that together. It has given us a great stepping stone for tonight. I don't know that we'll have too much to talk about, and that's great news. So what we'll talk about the second half of the meeting then is the report and the recommendation will be presented to City Council on March 11th at 7 p.m. Excellent catch. Thank you, Quinn. And we just need to talk through the preparation of that presentation, who plans to attend, and the delivery of the presentation. So we want to make sure everybody understands who's doing what at that meeting and what will happen. And then we will celebrate. And instead of doing the icebreaker at the beginning, since we're all so warmed up with one another, we have a little closing colleague connection, and it's words of gratitude. So we'll each take an opportunity to share something that we've appreciated about this process. So that is how we plan to spend our time. If there's any additions, please let us know. All right, so let's start with the report. Has everybody, and I say this without any blame or shame, has anybody not had an opportunity to read the report? Go ahead, please, David. I didn't read the whole thing. Okay. I read as much as I could. Okay, great. Okay.
Do 3/4 of it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try and focus on the content that you were able to get to, and maybe we can do a little overview of the sections that you weren't able to get to. But in the sections that those of you, you've read the content, what, if anything, was not in alignment with the way that you thought we agreed? Yes, Jeffrey.
I thought it was very thorough and really well put together for all the twists and turns we've taken. It's very organized, and I felt that it really got everything in that we talked about, which I thought was impossible without it being this thick. So, excellent job, you guys.
So I'm hearing no content doesn't reflect the agreements of the group. Is there any content that concerns you or red flags that you would like to name? Yeah, Kim?
I mean, it's certainly not a red flag. Not at all. As I read through, and I don't think that we need to make these changes in more than, maybe just one place. I think there's no page numbers on this. Shoot, that's why I had my, computer out. But we talk about Headley. And we talk about the Headley Amendment. And Headley was a person. It was the name of a state senator? He ran for governor. Richard Headley was a state senator, right? So my only comment is that, I had other thoughts and comments, but none of them that I thought needed to result in just sort of a small change. Somewhere in the formatting, and maybe staff can even decide this, I think I had this on the 3rd page of the actual report section under, background. Just that we call it Headley Amendment in 1 or 2 headings. Just as a note, it felt a little bit too casual for headings in particular to not say Headley Amendment. Really long way of saying that, I'm sorry.
I think what I heard Kate say is Headley is a person. And so to call the section Headley is, for somebody who knows as much as Kate, seems a little confusing because the actual thing that we're talking about is the Headley Amendment. So does anybody object to that change? Okay. I think everybody's good with that. Yeah. Yeah, just not Joe. Sure. Lovely. Great. Thank you, Kate.
Through the chair. Cost reductions, past and future. There's, I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but there's a lot we talk about the police department, et cetera, with the police department. But we don't talk about any of the pain that the fire department has gone through or are going through. And I thought maybe it would be good to add a couple lines.
had a question through the chair, if that's all right for the committee, because I wasn't sure. I can see the pros and cons of doing this. Thinking about the fire department, for example, I mean, there were permanent staff reductions in the fire department 15-ish years ago, right? And have not recovered. It was negotiated into contracts. We've not recovered to levels that we were at 20 plus years ago in terms of staffing. Joe showed us a table that showed staff levels before 2008 and staff levels after 2008. Do you think that there's a value in putting something like that, whether it's the table or just the raw numbers in there? I saw a couple of things on Facebook recently where people were like, oh, there's so many city staff, or I'd love to know how many city staff, it was because the HR department had a graphic on the city's homepage about how much hiring they've done this year. And then there were comments like people were thinking it's new positions, or often it's filling vacant positions when someone's left. I can see pros and cons to putting numbers like that in there because there is nuance to what's a part-time, what's a seasonal, what's a full-time, right? And I remember Joe's chart had all of that information. I just didn't know if the committee felt that it was valuable to put that in.
Through the chair, there is, in the opening paragraph under cost reductions, there was a summary that acknowledged a combined 20 police and fire positions were reduced. But to your point, we're not emphasizing fire. I can say that fire I think they had 32 approved firefighter positions before. They're at 24 now. And so their service level minimums are also, I think, down to 6, Justin, is that right? They have to have a 6-person minimum.
I just thought
It was
this
9, I think, before.
this report is wonderful, very detailed. It's written so people can understand it, i.e. me. And I just thought that because there was some time spent on the PD, I think we should just put those kinds of things in it as well, Joe.
Yeah, we can, let me see if I can come up with some data and language to suggest.
Does anybody object to including a few sentences and or a table that speaks to the fire department? Jane? Okay.
Does anyone see value in putting even sort of more broad numbers in there about like here was 2005 staffing levels and here's 2024 staffing levels, or is it just not relevant because our organizational chart is so different today that it's not really comparing apples to apples?
Very different.
I wonder if we can kind of split the difference and include sentences in the actual report that get to like the broad strokes and then have like a footnote that goes into more detail, or even like link off to more detailed appendix items, so folks can learn more if they want to.
That suggestion. I was seeing head nodding. Anybody object to that? Add a few sentences, additional detail in the appendix. Good. Other proposed refinements? All right. Yeah. The search function is just a delight. Okay. Quinn, do you want to, while she looks it up, do you want to talk a little bit about the timeline for making these changes?
Not know what that timeline is. I will defer that to your staff, Joe, and perhaps Kara, in terms of what the time frame is around any edits, so that there's enough time to get this finalized and get it in front of council prior to the meeting.
I would imagine small text edits can be included here and there, sectional edits, anything more than a couple lines ASAP, so probably by Wednesday next week. appendices materials can be worked on concurrently, and that's something we're doing right now.
Nothing else, Kate? Okay. Oh, you did?
It's on
Oh,
page
okay,
15,
good.
Kate.
All right. Anything else for the good of the group? All right, great. So let's talk a little bit about the presentation. So the presentation will be delivered to council. There's 15 minutes for the presentation. I think it's a blanket good that all who can attend should attend. Yes. Oh, okay. So I do know
just
that
might not be
Kyle
beautiful.
plans to attend. He included that when he sent his regards. My understanding is, Quinn, you had some thoughts about delivery. Do you want to talk through that?
No, I don't know that I have a plan. I do have the slides. I will say condensing a 30-page report into 10 to 15 minutes is tough, but I do have slides written. So what I've tried to do is really just take the high points of the report. It cannot go into as much detail as the report is, but at least giving people a taste of what's going on, helping them understand why this is important, summarizing some of those things very quickly. It is, as written right now, it does summarize the main recommendation, you know, and all of the background that you need to understand the main recommendation. It also, at a very, very high level, hits those additional things that we talked about, cost efficiencies, all, you know, those other bullet points. Like we did for the facilities task force, I did include, you know, here's what the dissenting opinion was, although I did not go into as much detail with that. It's simply, here's what the dissenting opinion was, and I didn't go into some of those other, like, not the recommendation, but the other bullet points that go along with the dissenting opinion. So it's much more high level, but of course, all of that is in the report for anybody who wants to read it. But in the interest of full transparency to council, I have that in there because that is what we did with the facilities task force. So that's the plan that I had. I'm happy to deliver that presentation. I'm very comfortable doing that and representing, you know, the recommendation at this point for me to get up there and present that. That is the recommendation of this committee. And it doesn't matter whether or not I had a different opinion. My job is to represent the opinion of the committee at this point. So I'm happy to do that. For the facilities task force, I know that the previous mayor did ask people who were on the committee to just come up, share, you know, what's one thing you enjoyed about being on the committee or one thing that you wanted to share about that. So if you are going to attend, I would encourage you to kind of like think through, if you're going to say a few words, what those might be. You know, you don't want 5 minutes, you want a paragraph maybe. But don't get caught off guard. Of course, the mayor may or may not ask, so just be prepared in case that happens.
Is everybody comfortable with that approach? Okay. Good. All right. We are way ahead of schedule. Are we ready for our celebratory celebration? Yes. Oh, please, Alvida.
For the chair. So after the presentation is made, is there going to be time for city council to ask additional questions, or is this just a straight presentation knowing that the public will be watching if they tune in? Posterity, it's recorded.
Through the chair, you'll give your presentation, council will have discussion. They actually have to make a motion to formally accept the report as presented. When they make that motion, they'll then ask you likely to come up and to speak some words, and then they'll ask questions as well of the committee for sure.
Any other questions about the process and next steps? Yes, Kate.
Is there any support that you need in this, Quinn? You've done a ton of heavy lifting. And I know that Kimmy and Brooke had sort of big hands and eyes on this process as well, but as you get ready for the presentation, or, you know, is there anything you would ask of us?
I don't at this point. You know, what is in the what is in the report is what's going to be in the presentation. So it's just a matter of delivering that. Kimmy, I need some more graphics. I need to make it pretty. And I know Kara is sending me some things as well, because right now it's a giant blob of text. But yeah, I think that I'm good. You know, certainly a couple of you guys I might reach out to and be like, okay, just listen to the presentation and we'll edit together. So yeah, I think that'll be good.
Joe,
I have a couple announcements.
please.
I just want to offer some remarks. When I read the report, I think this is, and I've actually said this to staff, this is the best resident-to-resident communication piece I've read in my local government career, and I'm not blowing that. I mean that sincerely. You used a voice, and you used a presentation style with the graphics that communicate things in a much more relatable way than a bunch of bureaucrats do. But honestly, setting the bureaucrat joke aside, you, as residents, you have a different voice than a staff person, and that comes through, true and true. And I think it's just the most effective communication piece that I do plan on submitting it to the Michigan Municipal League's first Community Excellence Award this year, the report. So if that happens, some of y'all are coming up to Mackinac with us hopefully to present, if that happens and we're accepted. So other announcements related kind of, it's been a busy couple weeks and some stuff's happened. Turns out Comerica listed their property for the first time in 2 years. And my broker knows that I've been badgering them, so I submitted an updated letter of interest. They've received it, and the broker said I should get to negotiate within 2 weeks. And we're hoping that they don't publicly list it, so we get into a bidding war. Hopefully they don't. They know that we're very interested, so I'm hoping we can just go to direct negotiation. So very promising. Once I found out that happened, we have an architecture firm that specializes in public safety facilities, and they are already pre-competitive negotiated through the state's My Deal program. So I'm working with them, called Partners in Architecture, and we are negotiating conceptual design and budget scope of services. And that's really it. They would just really help us figure out the spacing, how it would work on that property, and then get us a better, more accurate budget so we would know what to actually articulate to voters should things pull together. On the rec facility, we have issued bids on the Martin Road Recreation Facility, anticipating that there could be some interest. So we wanted to have a design and a budget ready just in case. And so those bids actually close on February 20th. So if everything lines up, we should have a firm selected by April, and then they would be doing public engagement in April and May with a conceptual design on a future rec facility with a better budget by June or July. That's the hope. So things could be ready, should they need to be. Fingers crossed on Comerica. Anyone watching? Shh. Someone sent me a staffer sent me a text, so it must be listed because there's some chat about it on the forum. So thanks, Comerica. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really happy with that. So anyways, that's directly related to the work that you did and the previous task force. So super cool. And aside from that, I have a couple thank yous to share.
Pretty.
You're gonna get us addicted to the good stuff. Locked from my house.
Hey, back what I said. Maybe you should give that to me.
Right. I haven't gone there.
You know what's really weird?
I'm on a wait last year.
I was just there. Oh, no way.
Talking about the You're welcome. Oh, sorry. The thank you card is inspired by a historical plaque pulled from the City Hall archives, actually found from a 1927 building when the city went from a village and was incorporated as a city. And the heading on that sign said, "Ferndale means good neighbors. A grateful citizenry acknowledges the service of those who guided the city. We'd like to express our gratitude and respect for the personal time you gave and your contribution to the community's future. The final report reflects principles of curiosity, civility, and commitment. May your leadership inspire others to serve," which was included on the historical plaque. So thank you for your service from, I think, the bottom of council's heart and my heart. This is one of the coolest, largest efforts that we've had. So thank you.
Thing, correct? Yes. So don't eat your chocolates yet.
I just went here before I came.
And they're pretty boxes.
No.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's made custom cookies for me there. He takes half of them and he dips them in chocolate. I'm like,
Have some very cold wintry ice cream.
Yes, ice cream. Oh, I like Brooke. When we did our first ice breaker, I think I asked your favorite restaurant. It might have been David. Favorite restaurant in Ferndale. I think somebody said Dairy Queen ice cream. Did somebody say? I wrote down that somebody loves Dairy Queen. Oh, the Dairy Queen? No, I don't. That's a great question. I wonder. I had a note on I'm like, and so I told Joe we need to do something from ice cream, and he's like, and not Dairy Queen because we have Sweet Dreams, or what is Treat Dreams?
Treat
Thank you.
Dreams.
Here in Ferndale. So we have a Treat Dreams ice cream cake. So help yourself to ice cream cake should you like it. What's that?
Was it you that wanted the ice cream?
No, that's what Kimberly just asked. It was not me, but that's hilarious. I'm going to start doing that. You know, I think the group would really be into.
You made us try our favorite flavor.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, is that what it was?
How do you cut an ice cream cake? This thing is-
Yes.
any way you want.
Yeah.
That's true. Hot water.
I'm wondering.
And do the gratitude? Okay,
forgot
fair
about
enough. All right, so our closing exercise is words of gratitude. So we'll go around the table. We can start here with you, Kate, and go this way. And we're just gonna share one thing we've appreciated about this process.
So I was appointed to this committee the same night that I was recognized for retiring after 16 years on the planning commission. And I told myself, you know, I was kind of, I love planning commission. It's what I do for work, but it wasn't as fun anymore in my volunteer time. I wanted to do fun things. And I thought, oh, okay, one more thing to get through. I got to get through this finance committee and then I can do fun things. And then actually I discovered that I had a blast with you guys. So I guess my gratitude is just thank you for being such wonderful teammates. I've really enjoyed getting to know everybody. We're going to go have lunch, me and the mayor, with Jeffrey. Apparently we've decided, yes. That should be our official like after party hangout now. Every other Thursday at Tony's. Because now we don't have to worry about having a quorum now. So that's my gratitude is thank you for reminding me how much fun I have doing public service. Thank you.
I guess I would say it's hard to be in a committee with all these different opinions. People feel differently. And the way that we've presented to each other and respected each other along the way, I just think is outstanding. I never saw anybody really feel hurt, unheard in any way, angry. We got everything out, and because we did that, it was so productive and time well spent. And I loved every minute of this. It was so great.
Ditto. As my first time serving on a public government committee, I was very trepidatious and concerned and anxiety ridden when it first started. I think I've been able to open up and to give my opinion because you all have been so welcoming. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much about government, how our government works, how misinformed I was. And it's been a really eye-opening experience. It's been a fun experience. Whoever thought you would say that, every other week or every week sometimes you come here, okay, get our pizza, sit down, we have deep conversations about really important issues. And you're like, wow, this is really cool. So I really appreciate that. And I think I will do it again in the future, maybe not right away, but I hope to, be a productive member of this city and to participate in government and be that kind of citizen. And I hope to teach that to my child as well. So I want to mentor that, and I would encourage other people to do so as well. Thanks.
First of all, I just want to say, Joe, Comerica listing is made my day. Secondly, when I come home from this at night, one of the first questions Karen always asks me is, how bad does your brain hurt? Sometimes I wouldn't say anything. I said, man, I got some stuff I gotta read. This is tough stuff. I'm grateful for the education I received here. And being an anti-taxer and my involvement with the city and being on a facilities task force has really opened my eyes to how small our town is, the needs that we really have, and how we have to act and do something. To those that are watching this tonight, once this report is public, spend some time and read it, print it and read it. It's extremely informative, and it's going to help everybody look at things in a different light. Unfortunately, there's probably 20 people watching, but our job is also to take and make sure that people understand that by talking to people. I'm grateful and proud to have served on this, as well as being selected by council and the mayor to be a part of this task force. Quinn, Brooke, and Kimberly, how bad do your brains hurt? This is pretty amazing stuff. And the time that you three put into it is amazing. And it's an amazing thing.
I would just like to say thank you to all of you for always listening to my maybe other side opinion. And thank you for, I don't know, creating an open space where we could have this discussion, essentially. And I had a lot of fun. So.
So I've always known that Ferndale was a very special city. And I'm really honored to have joined this particular committee, given my day job is very stressful. It's been, I've wanted to join a committee for a very long time, and so I'm glad I was able to do it. I've learned so much from each of you. I want to give a shout out to the gallery, all of the city council staff that's been here and answered our questions. I've really appreciated seeing each of you here every single meeting and everything that you've shared with us. I'm in awe of you three ladies and the work that you put into this. So I'm just really honored, and thank you for having me.
I'm probably not going to say much that hasn't already been said because I feel the same as basically everybody who's spoken up. But when I applied for this committee, I put this on my application. I told Joe, I'm like, I am not a numbers person. I'm a visual designer. Like, I would be so out of my depth. Like, why me for this committee? Like, I almost didn't apply because I was like, I don't want to be someone coming in who doesn't know anything and, you know, making decisions I have no business making. And I was assured time and again, like, that's not the case. That's why you would be good for this. And so I applied and I was like, I'm either going to love this or it's going to be like the worst decision I ever made. We'll find out. It'll be good either way. And I can honestly say that this was one of the best decisions that I ever made. And I'm so grateful to have been appointed. Thank you for, you know, appointing me and all of us. Like, I am also in awe of everybody sitting here. I echo what you said, Jeffrey, where I think my biggest fear going into this was, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what if, you know, it gets tense or, you know, there's arguing or something like that. But I've never been with a group of people who are more respectful and more willing to listen and willing to understand that that's why we're all here, is to bring our own opinions, and we don't always have to agree and we don't always have to be on the same page. And that's the whole point. And that's what it's about. And so I'm extremely grateful as well to have had this opportunity. I have learned so much. I never thought I would think that municipal finance was as interesting as I do now, but I'm like telling everybody who will listen, I was like, ooh, do you want to hear like how your property taxes work? I know how your property taxes work. A coworker of mine is actually in the process of buying a house, and I was like, can I talk to you about that a little bit? Like what you can expect. But yeah, so anyway, this was just a really terrific experience, and thank you everyone from the city who has dedicated more of your time during your already busy weeks to be here. Thank you, Greg, for your expertise as well. Yeah, this has just been amazing.
Gosh, I have to follow all that up. Guys, this has been really, really good. So, Kate, I love how you have brought all of this like historical knowledge. Like even today, just being like, guys, Headley was a person. We need to phrase. I love how detailed you are in that. And Jeffrey, I love that you brought, you know, the things that you cared about, and you were willing to advocate for the things that you thought were really important. Brooke, I appreciate that, you know, I feel like you were a little bit quiet at the beginning, kind of like feeling it out. And then you just blossomed. You blossomed into this person who was like, I understand it now. I am passionate. I care about this. This is how I feel. This is how I think that we should move forward. And that's so important. Dale, I love that you will say, I don't know. I love that about you, to say like, you know what, I'm not sure. Can we talk about this again? Can we explain this again? Because there's so many people who, when they don't know, will hide that and they will go forward in ignorance. And you are not that person. And I appreciate that so much about you. David, I really appreciate that you are willing to advocate for the things that you're willing to advocate for, things that might be a little bit different, things that, you see in a little bit of a different perspective. And that's great. We need to be considering all of the options as we make decisions. So I appreciate that about you. And Alvita, I appreciate you for being here, for caring about Ferndale. I know I'm glad that you were able to join this committee. I know you were recently appointed to Housing Commission, right? So I am so thankful for you and your continued service for this city. And Kimmy, the graphics are just so good. They're just so good. And I know the napkin drawing I gave you that I was so dang proud of. Okay? And you took it and you made it into such beautiful, and it's so important because you have to be able to visually explain things to people who are visual learners. And so that is truly an asset to this report. And I really appreciate that you brought that. And I'm glad that you're here because otherwise people will be getting napkin crayon drawings in this report. Okay. Guys, this was really hard. This was a lot of oh my gosh, and we said it over and over. This is complicated. Everything is complicated. But we all brought our passion, we all brought our service, we all brought our willingness to learn, to engage, and to really bring what we could as residents to make our city a better place. So I am so thankful for all of you. Brittany, I'm thankful for the way that you herd these cats because we are all a little bit feral. Joe, I appreciate you and your staff for answering our 800 million questions. You guys have been really incredible. I know that I've certainly peppered you guys with a lot. And then, of course, Greg, thank you as well for your historical knowledge and insight. We couldn't do it without you. This has been really great, guys. I'm really proud of the work that we have done together. I encourage you to continue to tell all your friends about it. And council's going to make a decision, right? These are the next steps. We're going to present this to council. Council is then going to make a decision. And then if there is a vote on the ballot, we will need to talk to people about that vote and educate them. And so the work is not done. The work continues on. And I hope that I will see you guys out there with that.
On that, I just add, following the council presentation, the strength of this report is so incredible. It's not a report that's just going to sit on the website or in City Hall. So I will actually be asking for opinions on community hubs and locations that you think would benefit from having the report. Because the education the peer-to-peer education is just incredible. So please, if you have recommendations on community hubs, housing block captains, you let me know, and we will, we're going to put together a list. And that is probably the worst cake cut ever, but.
You can either have a piece that's the size of the house or.
Yeah. Watch out for the edges.
So we do need to do public comment and.
Yep. You can adjourn, yeah.
Then just to close out the formal portion of our evening tonight, I do not see any members of the public here today. So we will not have, we will close public comment period. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Don't all motion at once. Motion by Elvita and seconded by Dale. All in favor. Motion carries. Thank you all.